我觉得 FPX 战队的打野 Paper 是一个进攻能力很强的打野，接下来就要对阵 LPX 战队，然后我觉得对付他们打野的话，感觉只要把前期节奏抓住的话，就可以赢下他们。
I mean, if we're interviewing anyone about the jungle and it happens to be Pepper in it, they're going to talk about aggressiveness, and that was the same thing there for Hacker, saying if we can win the early game, perhaps we can win the game. In fact, that was not really the case, because Pepper actually won the early game, and in the end it was them making it happen in a late game team fight.
But to be fair, as we saw from the first game, we said that a small early lead going over to FPX may have been enough to let them win the game, and so it was just that extra step from members of SNG Gaming that was able to bring it back, able to get them the victory in the end. I do still fully believe that what he said is true. You need to have some kind of early advantage against Hacker, rather against Pepper, or keep even. Don't let him get ahead. The reason that you often see FPX lose is because Pepper just willingly throws himself at people, and it's a mistake, and he ends up paying for it.
Sure, it's the early game from FPX that suffers, and that kind of cascades and snowballs into a loss for FPX. So we'll see if that happens into game 2. I want to keep talking about the draft, though, heading into this second game. Now, the first game was very much pick-focused. I feel like from both teams, it was just like picks to find picks all over the place. And while that definitely was true in the late game, we'll see if that happens again in the second game.
Yeah, it certainly was. And so to bring about the first game and what this means for the second, something that we can note already, there was 0 stopwatches. There was only 2 inspiration trees to be seen, and neither of them had a stopwatch, so we may not be seeing any more of those. The other part that we saw in the first game that I thought was good but could be changed is FPX's composition around the Malphite. I don't mind the Malphite. I actually think that Malphite is a decent pick. But if you have an Alistar with a Malphite, then you can only go forwards. And it is so much going forwards that why can't you just find yourself, you know, a champion that can do a bit of both? They ban the Braum, ban the Tahm Kench, champions like Shen even in support or top lane if they wanted to swap one of those two would still make a lot of sense for me because it's complementary and it enables what you are doing further, but they overloaded it. And I think that's good and bad. If things go wrong in any way, you get flanked in any way, we saw what can happen in the entire game there. So that's what I'm looking at with FPX coming into the second game is a similar style. Don't mind the style, it worked for them. But just to innovate a little bit further.
Yeah, at least give yourself some wiggle room, right? Because if you're front loading, and I know you were saying to me during the game as well, like if you get a pick onto any of the 2 damage threats on the side of FPX, well, it's just like pretty much good night, and both of them instantly died in the last fight from Xiao Ao. So it's like at least give yourself a way to get out of that. On the opposite side, SNG Gaming had a pretty strong draft. There's kind of a Thresh run in there for good measure, but it worked.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing with SNG Gaming's composition and what we may see change in the second game is they had a Thresh, and now the Thresh pick kind of made sense in the composition to enable pick was a medium to long range type of engage for this side that wasn't fully committal. But the Thresh didn't really feel like it was contributing this crazy amount. Most of it was the Skarner hitting the ultimate anyway, and the hook was there just as a follow-up more than anything else. Yep. He tried to give lanterns, they were unsuccessful. They were completely thwarted by the team composition of FPX, and they really wanted the Camille, and they really wanted the Talia. So I'd be looking at perhaps the Thresh changes, unless the Skarner is banned away, in which case the Skarner will be changing to a new jungler, and the Thresh can stay.
Sure, that's definitely an expectation for sure in the jungle roles here. That's taken away because Skarner is so strong on this patch, but for now, we are going to send it over to the casters to get us into game 2.
Thanks, guys. Once again, I'm Dom, and stuck here with my Hextech Ultimatum is Clement, as we're about to get into game 2.
I chose to be here. It's fine.
Exactly. Willing participant. Anyway, so let's go ahead and continue talking about this, because as we saw, the draft that we were hearing from the analyst desk is going to be so important. You and I were even talking about it just a few minutes ago, seeing how important the Camille was for the likes of Sun.
Yeah, there really are no counters to Camille right now. It does feel like she has risen to the top in terms of top laners. You just don't see the Gangplank anymore. He's been nerfed pretty much out of the meta. Only 1 or 2 picks in the LCK right now. And Nara has also taken a huge hit to the head. So Camille all the way. That's pretty much the big champion. And both of these top laners do play her.
And we did also see Fury on the likes of that late game Caitlyn suffering a bit in lane, especially when paired alongside that Thresh when he wasn't landing hooks. But this is a legacy Fury pick. This is the champion that he got his first LPL pentakill on. So definitely showing that comfort. And we got the chance to see it as he approached the late game. But we've now entered into picks and bans for this game 2. FPX was side priority. They've chosen blue side and they've banned Camille.
So FPX, a much better team on the blue side draft, actually, banning away Camille, opting not to pick it themselves. Now, this is a very prominent feature of their draft phase. They typically want Gimgoon on a later rotation so they can counterpick for him, and they're going to continue that trend. Sejuani being banned out is also worth noting for, because this is Hacker's most played champion. Doesn't want to, FPX don't want to let them get their hands on that.
It's funny that you mentioned they want to save counterpick for Gimgoon. Well, how about
Guess not.
prioritize immediately? Scion, first round rotation immediately. Locked in for the Goon in the top lane. Now Xiao Al knows he's got a few rotations before he's got to pick something to deal with this. Suning, with this flexibility, what do they decide to go for?
Now, it is worth mentioning that this Scion might not actually go top lane. We have seen
really?
the mid lane Scion from NA on Huhi, so it's a small chance, but if I expected a team to do a flex like that, it would be FPX.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, the Berserker. Once again, going to show up now. I say once again, this is actually the first time, as he's going to be chasing people down with his undertow anytime he gets the opportunity.
Has such a high gank success rate now with the Predator and also with the Stalker's Blade in early ganks. We have seen him popping all over the place, primarily in the LCK though.
Now we're going to see the counterpick Kha'Zix locked in for Pepper. Obviously, you want to try to catch that Olaf out of position, which allows for the isolation damage on the likes of Kha'Zix, but it's an Olaf. He just presses R, becomes even stronger, and then throws more axes.
This pick tells me that they're probably going to try something early level. If you can catch out Olaf, he likes to jungle with very low health to make use of his passive. If you can catch him out first rotation and deny his blue buff somehow, that could be a way you win the game.
Now we see another roaming mid laner for the likes of Bing. Almost a similar playstyle to Knight, though traditionally Knight has executed better with his team, taking the likes of that Rise in the mid lane.
Ooh,
now it's the important question. Top lane, top lane, mid lane still open.
Yeah, but they did leave the Casio open right now. If I'm Suning Gaming, I'm probably reaching out for the Snake Lady because she has a very high win rate into this matchup. And both of these mid laners benefited from the mid lane changes, the itemization changes.
Now we do see Alistar locked in for Yoon, so again that is going to be a Varus Alistar red side, but this time it's Suning Gaming running that into FPX. Meanwhile, FPX, they've not picked their bottom lane at all, so Suning get the chance to try to trim away LWX's pool.
LWX still has a lot of champions here. The Xayah is open, the Ezreal as well, so if they just want to play safe, then that's perfectly doable.
Yeah, we do call LWX the shotgun of the LPL. He likes to get up close and personal for plenty of spray and plenty of big damage, but sometimes the shotgun has kickback, and sometimes that costs FPX quite a bit.
I thought you were going to say plenty of prey from his own teammates because...
Yeah, exactly. Wait, what are you doing? Why are you in melee range?
When he does go in, and it's a bit of a coin flip, but it does look like Suning is going to force him onto the Ezreal pick. That's the... pretty much the only big pick he has right now.
There's the Azir, the Cassiopeia that you mentioned. We're not going to get the chance to see the huge damage out of Leandri's or anything like that. So with this, now we see how Suning prioritize.
The Kassadin instead?
Yeah, perhaps trying to bait this out. Kassadin, we theorized, has some massive late game damage with the new Rabadon's death cap.
Yeah, Frost is all in on this pick. She says, like, with better death cap, with extra mana from Archangels, then this should be a very, very strong pick. But it still faces the problem that I feel like the 2v2 early to mid game is now more important than ever. And if Suning are going to try to hold on to this pick, it's a bit of a challenge. They do have the Olaf though. Olaf is a very strong early game jungle, so maybe they're banking on that fact.
Especially to provide them some momentum. Now Tristana is the lock-in for LWX. Great at breaking down turrets if she ever gets the opportunity to set up and siege. And Kassadin, not exactly known for his wave clear. Could be a bit of a challenge for FPX to try to play on that early and mid game before the Kassadin gets to a massive late game, as Braum is now locked in for Crisp. And hold your horses there, Clement. Or should I say, hold your Scarl.
Oh, yeah.
You're my Scarl. What are you talking about? Exactly. We'll see if this is going to be locked in. It is. Never mind. Thank you. Xiao Ao locking in Kled in the top lane. You can't see it, everyone, but there is a big old grin on Clement's face.
Xiao's taking it to Gimgoon. He's basically saying, hey, man, you don't get to call Kled your own champion. There's another Kled player here, you know, Xiao Ao, old-time Kled player from previous splits as well. Also, Gimgoon was the first one to feature in this matchup. He was the one with the Kled, and he went Electrocute and tried to kill the Sion in lane. I'm very interested to see what Xiao will bring her.
Yeah, we're certainly going to find out in just a few seconds, as with our compositions now locked and loaded. Suning, they've got a great running down composition. If they can find someone out of position, look for a pick, they don't need CC to lock him in place. They just chase them to the ends of the earth with the Olaf and the Kled. Meanwhile, on the other side, FPX, they're just looking for some big ol' AoE and scaling as the coaches shake hands. Suning versus FPX. We call Suning the middle of the pack, the playoff gatekeepers. If you can beat Suning, you deserve to be in the top half. But if you can't, well, you deserve to be in the bottom.
Yep, and Suning are going to try to up their standings with the remainder of cross-conference. Not having a very good time so far. To talk a little bit about the compositions here, I do favor FPX's composition a little bit. I think they're a bit more well-rounded. They have your late game assurance in the Tristana. They have your good tank line in the Sion, and they also have the push advantage in the mid with the Rise over the Kassadin. So I do like what FPX have drafted here. On the flip side for Suning, they're much more focused on their goal. Like you said, they are the rundown type of composition. And if this comp doesn't work very well in the mid game, then it falls apart. Yeah. Olaf, not a very good late game champion. Kled, the same thing pretty much. And even though Kassadin, you scale well late, there is a Braum on the enemy team and a point-and-click CC in the Rise. Yeah. So I don't see their composition working well past 30 minutes at all. It is the ride or die composition.
Well, we'll have to see if Suning can execute or if FPX are going to bring us to a Game 3 as we load onto the Rift.
More fans here coming out. We're hearing the shouts from FunPlus.
Suning raising the stakes with their pitch of voice on that final call. But I do want to come back to that rundown composition that you've mentioned. We've seen a composition somewhat similar from Suning way back in 2017 summer where they played against WE. Suning took an early advantage but then couldn't break the base. So what Suning did was they used the Kled at the red buff to run all the way to the Nexus as a 5-man stack. They were able to sneak into the red buff of Team WE, wait till they moved up towards the Baron on the top half of the map, and then literally just ran to the Nexus and backdoored to win the game. So I'm not saying I endorse that strategy. I'm just saying they have a Kled, and they also are playing on red side just like they were in that last series.
No one should endorse that strategy. That's a Hail Mary if I ever saw one.
It really is. I mean, we've even seen, to continue on with Hail Marys, we've seen Hail Marys from Suning this year that haven't worked out. They've gotten all the way down to the last hit on the Nexus, but weren't able to close it out. I believe that was just last week.
Against WE, they were up 9.6K.
Oh, that was the same team. You're right, it was WE.
Yeah, and to talk about the profiles of Suning right now, they can have very good early to mid games, but late game shot calling, their fight selection is very terrible. The way they lost to WE and gave Xia that pentakill was they used all of their abilities on an Alistar in a choke and then got blasted by WE's AoE. So they really need to work on that. But for now, if you run this composition, you don't need to worry.
Yeah.
Because if you go to late game, you just lose, so it doesn't even matter.
Oh, man, calling it so soon. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case or if Suning will, in fact, prove us wrong, because FPX, they're certainly going to be trying to do that as best as they can as we now get into this standard laning phase. Good knockup as LWX is able to buffer a rocket jump out of the headbutt and escape. Meanwhile, Hacker clearing off his red buff, going for what looks to be a full clear, but Pepper manages to take Scuttle Crab and is sneaking around right now. Look at the movement speed on the likes of Hacker.
And that's the traditional build path we see from Olaf right now. Water walking and celerity, the double jungler move speed.
What presence of mind from Xiao Ao to back away. He knows his junglers know. He sees a huge wave being taken. Even Bing disappearing from that mid lane as the wave crashes in, denying Xiao Ao tons of gold and experience, but he's going to be able to keep himself alive. Assuming he's able to make it back to the turret, though, I'm not sure that was such a great idea. Now he's in between a rock and a hard place, but he is finally getting some experience. So close to level 3, but he has no flash.
You can't overkill on damage with Skarl. Gets level
boy.
3 and survives.
Holy cow, he's able to make it in. Meanwhile, Hacker has been tracking across the map. He's going to try to trade Krugs over here, as Suning have been pushing on the other side of the map. And despite the attempt to play from FPX, Suning keep their cool.
That is the cool thing you can do when you're against an Olaf, is you can punish his first clear. You know that he can't finish on top of the Krugs right there, so you just go in his jungle and force his lanes.
A wave comes in, Hacker
They spot.
feigns a dive, but decides to turn and clear out the rest of Krugs instead. You saw the nerfs to Tristana's ultimate there. The cooldown slightly increased.
Oh, your Chinese is certainly improving.
It's the numbers. Luckily, those are the same.
Okay.
But still, 4 minutes in, we're already seeing both teams moving across the map, so nowhere near as passive in early game as that game one.
And we can talk a little bit about the top lane rune choices right here. We did see Press the Attack get a bit of love in the top lane. So with Kled, it's one of the more common rune choices. You can proc it on the third, and then your fourth hit does extra damage for your violent tendencies.
That is very scary. I imagine getting hit by that fourth hit really hurts.
Yeah, but you do need to time it so that it doesn't hit on the bone platings.
Stagger the auto attack. Yeah.
The thing about bone plating is
It's
I've
all
checked.
sources of damage, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all sorts of damage. So with bone plating, every top laner that has gone into the resolve tree in 8.4 has taken bone plating. There are no exceptions. That's just how good a rune it is. If you think about the flat values, it's about 4 times more valuable than Scorch.
Oh, yeah. I believe at max level it's 50 damage per source as, Fury nearly going to be stunned, but is able to walk under his turret as LWX is chunked away. Still the wave is pushed in, and that allows Pepper to step forward. No pings on him, so he might have been able to skirt the vision there. Still looking for something, but not able to find it, though he did get behind Suning. Might look for some more action bottom as Xiao Al trades with Gimgoon. There's that precision trying to get the fourth hit violence tendencies. Ooh, it's more difficult to say than you would think as Hacker stepping forward. Xiao Al, is he trying to bait this?
Ooh, gets into the lane unseen. But the wave is pushing in very hard, so I guess it's more of a defensive bait. I don't really see Sion pushing this wave out at all.
Hacker with early boots and Predator. He's going to activate it as Xiao Al drops off. Undertow going to be used to help clear the wave and push this in. They still don't quite see where that Kha'Zix is. And flash knock up onto the bottom lane. But again, LWX buffers the rocket jump. It is so difficult to get the timing on that, and he's just done it twice in a row.
Yeah, that's great. If you click on it too early and they stop you mid-jump, then you will fall down. But if it's in animation, then you can still get away scot-free.
Bing thinking about roaming bottom. He's got Realm Warp, and yeah, like you said, he has been spotted. Still chilling smite from Hacker and FPX. Pepper going for that Skirmisher's Saber. The lack of the Ranger's Trinket hasn't been hurting them too much so far in this game specifically.
It's very interesting that Knight is able to get a lead over Bing in this lane. Typically, we do see the Kassadin being pushed in rather heavily. So it's rather unnatural for a CS lead to be appearing mid.
Looks like he's going for what appears to be Rod of Ages, blasting one and a ruby crystal that I can only imagine builds into a catalyst.
Yep, you typically see the Abyssal Mask
the Abyssal
being
Mask.
built
Also a great
in this
choice.
matchup. It depends if you want to scale more or you want to play more defensive in lane. In this type of scenario where he's actually up in CS, he could go for the ROA. That would be a very good reason to do so. It does look like Bing is suffering from the removal of 5 extra damage on minions. Not seeing as well as he could be.
Yeah. Now Knight with level 7. Even using the Rift Walk to step into the jungle and place a very early control ward. Yoon set to follow as Bing picks up his blue buff. So Suning still aware of the buff timings out of FPX and using it to try to control vision on this bottom half of the map. Tragically, it is only an Ocean Dragon. So if they were to take that, that would just provide a little bit more sustain, though. That does, again, scale into the Elder Dragons. We saw one in the last one, as we do have a quick pause.
Well, the main narrative for this game is still how is Suning going to start moving out of their lanes and using their rundown composition. Because if things are the way they are right now, it looks like FPX can handle most of the pressure thrown at them. Sure, they're losing a bit of CS in their solo lanes, but holding on still fine.
Definitely important for FPX to try to keep their cool. Last week, we saw them in between series, hanging out backstage. They were all in a group huddle talking, and they all put their hands together and gave it the Arsan Jayo, 1, 2, 3 fighting. And the coach was the one who was really leading the charge for the team. He was the guy who was really bringing the emotional energy to them, because that was, again, after their Game 1 loss.
For FPX, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they did have rather demoralizing loss against RNG in the last series. LWX getting completely blasted by Uzi.
Mm-hmm. But that said, they're not looking against RNG in this game. They're looking against Suning, a team that is even in the standings with them, 5 and 6. So they cannot allow themselves to fall prey to that emotional state of mind.
Yeah, it has been a tough ride for FPX. You know, the favorites coming in after Demacia Cup, falling on hard times, only able to take down the likes of Vici and Snake in their own group. They've been finding more success. You know, they've gotten wins over LGD, over top.
It's part of the scary thing about playing a chaos style for League of Legends, is that sometimes the chaos bites back.
Oh yeah, against teams that don't give up leads, Chaos style is not very good.
And even in this game, it's a 700 gold advantage for Suning out of this laning phase, exactly like you were talking about, Clement. As Suning, we're now set to look at how they try to move out of the lane.
I do suspect that most of the lead should be in the bot lane, just against the Tristana matchup. We've seen the Alistar, Yoon, just going in whenever he has his WQ combo.
Now they have spotted this out. There goes the Predator. He is racing forward. That's going to be the Realm Warp. They're forcing the fight. That's a quick flash and heal in order to escape. Fury is low, but he's made it under the turret. Yoon holding on to his ultimate still. They turn it into the fight. LWX backing away as Hacker steps forward, breaks through the stun. Knight is looking for an opening, but can't quite find it as he chunks Pepper down and has to back away from any snare from Bing. Nobody wants to overextend in this matchup because it will surely cost their life, and still, everything dissolves into nothing.
Well played from both sides, but small summoner lead from FPX right there. They did get the jump on in terms of the gank. And Knight not able to find any.
Oh, look at Pepper. He's
in.
managed to find Hacker in the jungle as Xiao Al is actually trading out, but Hacker just turns and walks away. Ooh, managing to sneak in as, the potential dive, a sidestep, and Skarl comes up. Gimgoon might have been baited to his death. Xiao Al with the solo kill, first blood.
That was all Gimgoon's mistakes. He went in with Xiao El close to a full rage bar, thinking he could finish it off.
Bing now trying to back away as Hacker thought about ganking mid, but wasn't able to follow up. Just preying on the low mana of Knight, but like you said, that was just Gimgoon looking for the outplay and getting outplayed himself. Now Pepper is trying to finish off the Dragon solo here. He's still got Smite, but is running it very close. Hacker has no idea that this is happening. Oh, Razor's Edge and FPX smite the Dragon, secure it for themselves.
Good play there from Pepper. Like the attack speed slow from the Ocean Drake, not really an issue against Kha'Zix.
Of course, using that isolation damage, so powerful against the neutral objective. Teleport to get Knight back in as he finishes off Merc Treads before even completing that Catalyst. And still, the laning phase extends. Like you said, we're seeing the CS advantage for Fury, as Yoon just taking a bit of harass over here.
Yeah, the gold lead really doesn't matter as long as FPX can keep all members of Suning in lane. Sure, they'll get a lead here and there, but you know, this is perfectly fine for FPX.
Pepper thinking of stepping forward to try to collapse bottom. The wave, of course, passively being cleared by that explosive shot on Tristana. Yoon steps forward, Pepper goes up. I believe that was flash from Crisp to get in, and they managed to lock down Fury. The reset allows LWX to chase up. Unbreakable Will and a quick knockback tries to get Yoon down, but he simply walks it off.
Oh, decisive play from Crisp right there. I really like his flash into the ultimate. Knew that Fury didn't have any summoners, so very easy pickup.
And now they're going to get a lot of damage onto this bottom tier 1. No teleport for Xiao Al. Hacker is making his way out of base. Yoon is sitting back, and even Bing is hovering on this bottom half of the map. FPX going to break apart first brick, even being so generous as to try to give solo gold onto LWX.
Oh, and this is such a headache for Suning because they don't really have many people that can match the push potential from LWX's Tristana. They're going to have to put Fury back into what seems to be starting to become a losing lane for them.
Still up about 20 CS, so it slowly increases as he catches the wave. But now, like you said, that Tristana has been unlocked. We'll have to see where FPX send LWX.
There's just no good wave clear from the solo lanes on Suning, so they're going to have to match where FPX sends them. And that's going to be a huge disadvantage. I really like the teleport here from Bing as well. They're basically forcing a tempo play from Suning. It's like, okay, your bot lane, you're going to have to match Tristana. We're not going to move for you.
Already you can see Suning walking top and immediately changing direction towards the mid lane. Guinsu's just now picked up by Fury with that CS advantage, but the wave has already crashed for LWX. Crisp is even there, and with BF Sword, Zeal, and Zerker Greaves, this already pre-chipped turret could be at threat of going down. Crisp trying to keep Yoon away. It's so close, he's thinking about it. Finally, the final few shots, and the mid-tier 1 is broken. FPX open up 2 turrets before Suning.
Great teleport coming out from Bing right there. He teleports to the bot, defends his turret, and then forces the rotation from Suning. The reason Suning had to do this, they could not match the push with Knight. Knight had to walk back into the bot lane. So even though it looks like they expended one summoner, they did so much with it.
Opening the map just that much more for the likes of Pepper to invade and lay down vision. Already you can see FPX moving off the back of that play by collapsing around the jungle, collapsing around the Rift Herald, but Suning well prepared. Going to place down some vision of their own and attempt to contest that. Teleport almost ready for Knight as he pushes bottom. He's got timer on Bing's teleport too.
So the next play for Suning is really the big 5v5 in the top lane. They can't allow all of their outer turrets to go down. And you also have to factor in Knight does have the teleport advantage, so we should watch very closely for that timing to appear.
That being said, though, Gimgoon heads bottom to try to keep up with that. Holds the wave bottom, gives it the Mia ping as Knight heads up top, but that is a brief numbers advantage for the likes of Suning. They're going to try the charge. They've managed to tag onto Crisp, and they make it over the wall, even onto the Blast Plant control ward, but still the rundown composition has not run out of steam. They keep on chasing forward. Knight is trying to catch up as Bing joins in with the Realm Warp. Snare onto Hacker prevents him from getting even further. The minion wave isn't there, and Suning collapse, but they cannot dive just yet.
Oh, such good idea, such poor execution. Now they timed Gimgoon's teleport very well.
Don't even need the teleport if he turns into a train and chases them down. Suning, they're on the wrong side of this. Xiaoao turns onto Crisp, but now the fight is on 2 fronts as that's a big knockup onto Knight and Xiaoao. Yoon with the knockup, but again, LWX with the buffer escapes. That leaves Bing all on his own. He dies to Hacker as LWX left him for dead.
Bad positioning from FPX. Carries on one side, tanks on the other. Very easy choice for Suning which lane to go into.
And now pinging onto that Rift Herald as the almost 5v5 dissuades. Knight trying to recall to catch the minion wave in the bottom tier 2. He's still nearly got that teleport ready. And with FPX pushing top, they're able to force Suning off the Herald as well.
And that's the problem with FPX. They usually follow up a good idea with a bad one. So just splitting up way too much right there. We could see Pepper was on the bottom side, couldn't really join into the fight, and the way they split, it's actually the worst possible way.
Oh, Yoon steps forward as he's trying to make a fight happen. Trading it off, but that's going to be the Crisp who goes down, and they do trade supports when it's all said and done, but Knight is still in the area. No, he teleported from the other half of the map. Now they feel ready to dive. There's not enough CC, and they're able to find another kill.
And this is just classic FPX tilt. So after they followed up the losing play, they then went for another play where Knight had the teleport advantage, and they lose more out of it. So it's just, this happens so much with these new teams. It's really disheartening to see because they're not out of the running. They do have the scaling components. They can wait.
And this is that emotional constitution that we asked to see out of FPX. It seems like it's faltering here, at least so far. But Pepper, he's holding ground. He's still got 1 kill for his team and is now set to finish off the second elemental dragon for them.
Ooh.
Though Knight is about to catch up. There is no smite. Oh, and he gets it. Null Sphere not enough to provide further chase for Knight, and Pepper in and out.
Pepper was pretty lucky that they didn't want to... Let's look at the replay first. So 2-man going in, the important thing to notice is that Bing still doesn't have his teleport. So even though they do manage to trade, it was never going to be even numbers.
Flash slow to catch Gimgoon. He tries to retreat, but great play from Knight to get the slow, allowing for the further chase from Suning. And now that brings them 4 kills to 2. They're still down by about 600 gold, but again, 2 turrets are on the map. That's nearly 1,000 gold apiece if they're able to take them. And now Fury with his recurve bow and even more attack speed pushes a wave up top. And Suning not able to take anything off of those kills just yet. Rift Herald still on the map. And while Suning are on the board, they're not doing anything with that kill advantage.
Yeah, the problem that FPX is running into right now is that Suning can decide to just hold the bottom wave. They have no pressure to really push it out. And that actually forces FPX to do something on the map, because if they're just going to lose one wave of income, that's very bad for them. The problem is when they are forcing things on the map, they're forcing things into a composition that is very welcoming for that. Suning, they have a great composition that can just punish siegers. They can run people down a bit. So FPX, they're not really sure what to do right now. That's kind of the feeling I get.
Crisp. Ooh, he's thinking about stepping up and trying to place a ward. Hacker is just waiting for someone to step up. And look at this, even Pepper is trying to play outside of the vision. That ward is just outside. Like you said, he's been spotted. They know that this is happening. And there goes the Chains of Corruption. They're going to manage to get the snare onto Chris. Predator activated, double teleport coming in. Both top laners join the fight as Bing gets in with the Realm Orb. Again, it's a 5 versus 5. Gimgoon trying to bring up the rear, but Chris, so low, is finally going to be able to escape. No, the flash undertow from Hacker. He will trade his life, though, as LWX gets the reset. He's getting good damage. Fury left behind, gives another reset over. They leap it forward, a snare onto Knight. He's such low health. Another reset, and LWX continues to chase. The shotgun is loaded, and it fires. What? He gets the kill, and that's the ace. Suning fall to pieces.
There was no reason LWX needed to go for that 3rd kill, but he wanted it anyway. He wanted that triple kill. And at the start of the fight, it looked good for Suning. Their members were here first. They got the first kill, but FPX able to turn it with just Gimgoon soaking up so much damage and stopping LWX from being touched at all.
And with that, Tristana completing the Infinity Edge and that Zeal, she does so much. It's now 2 more turrets that FPX have over the advantage now. 5,000 gold, and it all starts because Suning think they can take this fight.
Yeah, so it's FPX kind of pressuring the situation right now, but Suning do have the advantage here. They miss LWX. Wow, Xiao L ease onto the wrong person. They're unable to follow up, and they only take Crisp first. After this, they should consider backing up. Just look at the carries from FPX. They're completely full health, and Gimgoon is so hard to move. Like, you can't touch anybody behind him.
The further dive, like you said, LWX, he's feeling the heat. He steps up and gets that next kill. Oh, just barely walks it out of the turret in time. The inevitable ace, 7 kills to 5, and suddenly all the momentum that Suning had been trying to build up by diving and taking fights of their own is completely turned on its head, and FPX are the ones who control the map.
And this is really bad news for Suning. Like we said before, Suning doesn't really have a late game. They do have the Cassidy, but there's a Braum on the other side. There's a Ryze on the other side. I don't think the Cassidy is going to be that effective come the late game. They're going to need one big team fight where they come out massively ahead to reach a state of equilibrium.
Still, they are trying to keep themselves in this game already. You can see their mentality has completely changed. Defensive wards all around that top half of the map as Charge is used to get away from the Realm Warp. Attempted pick from FPX, and Xiao Al just turns tail.
When I do that, I blame it on Skarl. He's the cowardly lizard.
Exactly. But hey, this time it kept him alive, so At the very least, it does keep Suning in this game, though still they are seeding Vision around this Baron. Now, Blue Trinket is ready for Fury, but the Baron has already been chunked down to about 2/3 of its health.
Hacker's done it once. Can he do it again?
Go for the second steal this series to reset. I mean, you talked about Suning looking for something to swing it back on its head. Maybe not a fight, maybe a Baron.
Going through those ramps as a single direction team, it seems really risky to me. Just imagine going through that and then Braum just ults your team. What do you do then?
Cry.
Yeah,
I think it's cry.
So what they need to do is they need mid lane priority for there actually to be an angle. If they just go through Raptor ramp, I think it's going to be a massacre.
Already, we can see Vision everywhere else, though. So FPX are already prepared for that eventuality of a side flank. They've got Vision in the tri-bush. They've got the top lane pushed up. So the only way really for them to run is either through the Raptor ramp or mid. That said, it doesn't appear that that's the next play. Attention has been turned towards the Infernal Dragon as FPX grouping up.
Great RNG coming out from FPX, second Infernal Drake in a row. But this is Suning's time to shine. This is the fight that they need to turn. But it's too late.
Yeah, instead they decide to give it over. Double Infernal now to FPX on a Tristana composition, plus an Ocean Dragon on a Scion. That's going to be real painful for Suning to deal with. But still, it's only 5,000 gold between the two teams. Very close in CS, just about all across the board. Big differences in those kills and those turrets providing neutral gold to FPX.
It's really unlucky for Suning Gaming. They had the better bot lane. They didn't have any team fight to contest because it was an Ocean Drake first. And then after Tristana takes the bot lane, it's been Infernal Drakes ever since. So I think the Tristana taking the first tower really changed the entire story of this game. Suning Gaming, not enough wave clear to match anywhere else. They're being pulled around by the Tristana. And they're just seeding the map because of it.
Slowly but surely, the map is going dark. We can even see the Duskblade of Drakthar from Pepper, along with Moby Boots. He's a walking Oracle's Elixir.
Just a very
denying
good
so
build
much more vision.
Against the Varus.
Yeah, significantly more assassination. If he's able to find Fury unprotected. Time after time, wards are cleared and placed. Hacker, he's got Undertow if he decides to throw it. There he goes. That's finally going to give some vision. But FPX just playing over it back and forth. Teleport used from Knight even. Gimgoon is sitting mid lane. He has his unstoppable charge ready. And he's going to try to collapse, pinning them against the wall. He's managed to find only the support. Yoon uses that Unbreakable Will, level 11, so he's getting quite a bit. Flashes back. And they're able to kite it away, but so much has been used by Suning to disengage and prevent this. Teleport, the ultimate, and the flash from the likes of Alistar.
Yep. And FPX should just go back and do it again. There's nothing stopping them from doing that.
This composition working wonders for FPX. Control ward over the wall, as that one did miss. And now Baron at half health. They see this is happening. Hacker, he's got flash. It's down to 3,000. That's the knockup you were talking about, Clement. But look at the flank from the side. Fury is firing across. Yoon has already died as Fury tries to kite it out. LWX leaps forward. Fury exhausted. Flashes over the wall and right onto the Kazakhs. He gets destroyed as the rest of FPX easily collapse. Finish the buff and the kill.
And that's a very easy cleanup from FPX. The second charge we've seen going backwards, trying to get his teammates away from danger, actually. And just good call by FPX. You usually don't see blue side teams wanting to fight up the ramp, but they know that they're strong enough and Alistar doesn't have ult.
Oh man, Hacker looking for the flash over the wall, does not find it. LWX in and out, kill steals from his mid laner. But he has now secured the Baron along with the rest of his team. 26 minutes in. It's a 9,000 gold lead.
Oh, Chris with the decisiveness. Just hitting the Q and knowing that he can go in. Teams going up the ramp, it's always a negative for them. But they know they're strong enough. No Unbreakable Will on Alistar. They just clean up. That's a very rare thing to see. Such a clean team fight from a team on the lower ground.
And I love how exactly we were talking about the Braum ultimate on top of the ramp, the Raptor ramp.
Yeah.
That was it. Suning, they don't appear to be crying, but I know I would be if I had been in that situation, because FPX are playing very swift. They're 4-0-7 on LWX. Pepper is on fire at 6-0-4.
Pretty much. What Suning should have done there was just show FPX the beef and leave the cow to die, because there was no chance they could go down the ramp and still win. They stuck along for too long. They should have just given up Yoon, and that would probably have been the best case situation.
Now, with the Baron buff, FPX are going to push forward. Yoon got put out to pasture in that last fight, but he's getting closer and closer to being able to survive a little bit longer. Still, FPX, they aren't going to give that luxury of time to Suning.
And here we have the Bannon minion coming out.
Oh yeah, the Banner of Command. Baron minion.
Yeah.
No, that's actually just Scion. That's Kim Goon.
Well, he does have it anytime. Like, he can cast it.
Waiting for the next minion wave, perhaps. There's still 2 full minutes left on this Baron buff, as the waves are just being cleared out time and again. 5 members of FPX, they're not even going to play the split push.
There is no late game for Suning Gaming. As long as Scion keeps his distance, he should be able to deter any engage.
There
Look at
it
Bing.
is. Holy cow. 2,000 health, 200 damage. Oh, man. Ooh, that's a big hit. And plus with LWX working it down, that's even more. 1 auto attack from that cannon minion per second, the Bannon minion. As Fury tries to back it up, gets healed just a bit more, but Yoon is already chunked down so low, and the turret has been broken. There is nothing they can do against this.
Just gonna win the game.
Brings them to the next minion wave as the inhib is taken down by the Bannon minion. It's single-handedly going to finish off the minion wave as FPX drop shift their way to not 1 but 2 inhibs and a single minion wave.
No answer from Suning Gaming. And do remember that cannon minions do double damage to towers. That's why it looks like it chunks so hard.
Real big hit there as Pepper trying to fight at some of this vision from Suning, make it feel even less safe than it actually is, and it's already pretty unsafe. And still, FPX are set to siege. This time they don't have a Bannon minion, but they do still have the Baron buff for another minion wave as 2 waves are set to crash here. Suning grouped as 5. Try to defend this. Knight steps forward, immediately gets snared exactly as you predicted. Zany's to buy himself time, but he's already been chunked out by LWX. The turret is destroyed. A stun is going to land. That's the Damasio charge to get him back to base, but Yoon is dead. Fury is dead, and Suning might just be dead as they turn their way onto the fountain, and FPX swiftly and decisively snowball off a massive fight and force Suning back and set their eyes onto a Game 3.
Yeah, very easy cleanup here from FPX. I really don't like the draft from Suning. I think like they passed up the chance to go for the Cassiopeia. Want to go for hero play Caston, but there's just so many counters.
Xiao Al on the fountain himself, turns it back around, immediately picks up Skarl and a kill, but LWX has his eyes on the prize. Finally finishes it off as Pepper animation cancels his leap with the Nexus explosion, and FPX. We talked about their emotional stability at the beginning of the game, how it looked shaken, but they just were waiting for the right moment to strike, feigning to be wounded prey, but still, they had to bite back.
Yeah, a lot of messy team fights coming out from both sides right there. But at the end of the day, what really changed the game is that Suning, they never got their comp to run off the ground. They never found that 5v5 where they could be the initiators, run into the enemy backline and just kill everyone. Play a pick composition. That's not what they're allowed to do this time. And that really just shut them down. They had no late game to speak of. And at this level, I don't think teams are good enough to play without a late game insurance.
And take a look at LWX's damage. 17,000 more damage than Fury over there. Some quick napkin math. He was only about 8,000 damage below the total amount of damage dealt.
That was some very
Suning.
quick math.
That is massive on the likes of that Tristana. And huge play from FPX overall to keep their cool and reset over the course of that matchup. You know, we were talking about how FPX, maybe they'll save the Scion, look for the counter pick. No, they put him on the Scion immediately. They pick down their jungle mid, their solo lanes, knowing that LWX has got that pool of champions to rely on, and it pays off.
Yeah, FPX, I feel like their early game, they identified the lane they want to attack, free LWX and his wave clear, shut down the enemy team composition. The enemy team doesn't have any of their own, and then just kind of suffocate the team out. And I think that Suning have to look at this draft long and hard. No late game answers, all on early game, and then you have losing lanes as well. So that's a big question at this level of play.
Yeah, certainly a bit of a curious choice for the likes of Suning coming into this game too. You can kind of see the idea if FPX actually were emotionally broken in that game, that's a rundown composition. You simply just snowball it to victory and close out the series, go home and have yourself your dinner. That wasn't the case at all. Yeah, FPX managed to keep their cool. Now it's up to our analysts to break down that game too.
And Clement's right, Suning Gaming definitely have to take a look at the draft, and we will as well. So take a look at this one. They brought out the Olaf, and we were like, okay, well, this can definitely work. I mean, other regions have seen it so far as well in their own domestic play. And we was just like, well, talking about the runes as well, everything does work for Olaf nowadays.
Yeah, look, Olaf is in a very good position right now. We were mentioning this while the game was going, but having all of the move speed from water walking in his runes as well as celerity, then just imagine he uses Predator, he presses ultimate, and he has a Righteous Glory. That's a lot. That's just a lot of move speed, let alone the damage that he gets from celerity as a bonus adaptive AD there for himself. So Olaf in this draft specifically, however, I was a fan of it. I thought Olaf fit well. There's a couple of other places through the draft for Suning Gaming that I would be looking at, though, and saying that I have a couple more questions towards it. Now, the Cassiopeia, I agree with Clement, was a great option, but so was something like an Orianna. Because this is a matchup into Ryze where you can control the early laning phase by killing the Ryze, not letting him get through the laning phase. And the current state of Ryze is incredibly strong. He has been just buffed in every possible way from the itemization changes, more flat mana, more damage, more capabilities of building a Rylai's like we saw from him in this game, simply because he doesn't need to build as much CDR. He's just set up to succeed. And then they picked a Kassadin into it, which is risky, simply because you need to scale up. And the Ryze is already scaling. So, frankly, they've just made a mistake here by going for the riskier option. Not that going riskier is a bad thing, but in the context of this draft, I do believe that was the biggest mistake.
Sure, because if we're looking at like late game insurance, as the casters were saying, well, you look towards the casting, you're like, okay, well, looking towards that mid game when he hits level 16, but if he never gets there, then he's never going to be late game insurance. And we saw a lot of the action was actually centered around this early game and this mid game. Again, there was no kills for a long while, but as soon as we hit that mid game, we had people rotating around the map. That's where it started to really pop off for the teams. And FPX, they capitalized on it so well, moved towards the top lane, and found themselves an ace.
Yeah, and this is a lot of jumping. Every time you look at LWX in team fights from this point onwards, you'll probably find him just jumping around on the Rift. Now, Suning Gaming had just got a nice pick. They tried to get themselves back into the game by the time that this fight had broken out. And the reason that this goes so poorly is they gift a reset. Hacker goes down, Righteous Glory is there, and you see jump number 2, followed by 3, and he's going to do a 4th under the turret because he is LWX. And you wouldn't have it any other way if you were the AD carry of FunPlus Phoenix. But things like this, where Suning Gaming, again, they're a middle-of-the-pack team. They're good, but they're not always good. They'll make mistakes, and not recognizing or not respecting perhaps the fact that not everything was used by FPX in that fight. They were just kiting back. They were just disengaging, and then you flash forwards and you give them something. You give them an opportunity to go forwards and over-push their boundaries because you've given them that chance.
Yeah.
They'll do it. FPX are not a team to say no to those chances. Suning Gaming didn't respect it enough.
But it was definitely more tempered from FPX, right? Like from what we've seen in this series, and I would say over the last couple series from FPX, is that they haven't just been running face first into their opponents in the early game. They've actually been thinking about what they're going to do and then execute it on later. And once you do give them those chances, then they can turn it into more.
They were thinking about how to do it, not when they're going to do it or anything like that. It's much more cerebral from them. I really have enjoyed watching them play this set so far. We're seeing legitimate growth from FunPlus Phoenix, even in just the best of 3 that they're playing against Suning Gaming right now. They're up against a team that wants to be slow. They said, okay, we'll play slow. We'll be just like you guys, and we'll slow the pace of this game down. And they're trying to best them with it. And honestly, this could have been a 2-0 if FPX played the first game like they did the second to continue to close it out.
And to be fair, that first game was really just revolving around the fact that we saw a hero player coming out from Shout Out. They were actually sieging the base. That could have been the 2-0 right here. However, there is still scary moments for a team like FPX when you have LWX jumping forwards, and we saw that in the last fight. We're also going to take a look at the Baron fight because he also jumped face first into a Kled, and it's scary, but they still managed to win it front to back.
Yeah, of course. And Yoon had no ultimate at this point. This is the second engage from FunPlus Phoenix, and what I like the most about this fight, whilst LWX almost ints but doesn't because they're far enough ahead, is that they leave the Baron at 2,000 health. They don't just say, okay, we're committing to the Baron, we're committing to something crazy. They decide that Baron is the avenue to fight. the fight's the avenue to Baron afterwards, and then they win the game.
Exactly, and then LWX will take the MVP for this one, 40.2% of the team's damage. And while it's really fun watching the shotgunners, we've named him, in the LPL, it's also, you're on the edge of your seat, because you don't know if he's just going to go face first into a tank, into a carry, and just die, or he's going to kill the whole team. That's what happened in this game, 94% kill participation as well.
If nothing else, he's got some very loose fingers on that shotgun. He doesn't know when he's going to pull the trigger, so sometimes he just spontaneously jumps forwards. His aggression is always admirable. We know him very similar to SMLZ in the way that he likes to flash, but SMLZ is much more cerebral and has a team to protect him, most importantly. LWX does not have that insurance, but still plays the same way.
Exactly, but when they do get ahead, he's able to do that. He's able to get the resets and be super strong. You know, there's a lot of focus towards him in this champion select, taking away a lot of the long-range AD carries to try and set up this Varus. But then, at the end of the day, he just picks Tristana and is able to run them down.
And that's the thing. I don't actually think we should see another Varus coming into this set. All of the priority seems to be on extra range on champions so far, and that should be the higher priority.
Yeah, 100%. Looking at that draft, first draft coming in from Suning Gaming was great. Second draft didn't really work out for them. We'll see what they can pull out in Game 3. So we are going to take a quick break before we get to game number 3.